Have you ever just stopped and thought about what makes every single child so different, so unique? Well, today we're diving into this really powerful idea that every child has their own special kind of brilliance, just waiting for the right moment to shine. Let's get right into it.
So the best way to wrap your head around this is with a pretty simple metaphor. I want you to think of a child not as an empty cup you have to fill up with knowledge, but more like a flower bud. Seriously, everything they need to become a beautiful, unique flower is already packed inside them. They just need the right environment to blossom.
And here's the absolute key to all of this. Every single flower has its own timeline, right? It's the same with kids. Some are going to show off their talent super early, while others, well, they take their time, and that's okay. There's no one-size-fits-all schedule for growing up.
But this is exactly where that little voice of fear can start to creep in for parents. You know the one, that worry that if their child isn't hitting milestones at the right time, they're somehow going to fall behind for good and never reach their true potential.
It's a totally understandable fear. But what happens when that anxiety turns into impatience? What happens when we try to pry that flower bud open before it's ready? Well, the outcome can be pretty heartbreaking.
And this really lays out the two roads you can take. On the one hand, you've got the forced path. This is the one driven by impatience. It can actually push a child off their natural path, and that can lead to a life where they just don't feel fulfilled. But then you have the nurtured path. This is all about letting them find their own way. It's about guiding, not forcing, so they can evolve into who they're meant to be.
Now, you might be thinking, hold on, isn't school supposed to handle this? And that's a fair point. But the thing is, traditional schools often can't. They usually have a set curriculum, a defined pace. Every kid is expected to learn the same thing at the same time, which, as we've seen, just doesn't work for every unique journey.
So if that standard model isn't the whole answer, what's the alternative? Well, that brings us to this idea of real education, a totally different way of thinking about how to nurture a child's growth.
So what in the world is real education? Put simply, it's a way of making sure a child develops their authentic potential. And that word, authentic, is everything. It's not about trying to shape them into something they're not. It's about nurturing the one-of-a-kind journey they're already on.
Okay, that all sounds great in theory, but what does it actually look like? How does it work day to day? Let's break it down.
This whole approach is really built on a few core pillars. We're talking about hyper-personalized programs, not a cookie-cutter plan. The idea is to build those big life skills like self-awareness and ambition. But what's really different is the huge focus on the parent-child bond, because that relationship is seen as absolutely essential. It's a long-term thing too, using guided, age-appropriate methods from age 4 all the way up to 21 and beyond, all based on solid research.
And the main takeaway here is that this isn't about short-term wins. It's not about acing the next spelling test. The goal is so much bigger than that. It's about unlocking the kind of potential that literally shapes a person for their entire life.
All of this leads us to the ultimate destination of this whole journey. It's really a cycle, right? A continuous loop of discovering, learning, and growing.
And at the end of the day, what does that life look like? It's a life that feels full of purpose, a life with deep, meaningful connections, both with yourself and with others. It's about helping a kid build not just a career, but a truly meaningful life.
So, I'll leave you with this one question to think about. When it comes to the kids in our own lives, are we patiently guiding their unique journey? Are we giving them the support they need to blossom whenever they're ready? Or maybe, with the best intentions, are we forcing the path a little bit because of our own fears? It's a really powerful thought. Thanks so much for tuning in.